Honorable adjudicators and respectful opposing teams, in this opportunity, let me introduce myself. My name is Hannah Stiantika, and I am standing fully in support of the motion that this House prefers a world where all the crucial resources are governed by a single agency, which would be the International Materials Agency. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know, we are living in a world that is diverse. It is so diverse, especially in its geological and its geographical aspect. Not all countries are the same in terms of natural conditions, and these different natural conditions and positioning results in the diversity of resources, crucial resources that each country owns. For example, Indonesia produces coals and golds and probably some other resources, and the Middle East is expert at producing oils and as well as many countries with their own resources. Now, in this world, each respectful country is the owner and the manager of the resources that they have. Every country has a full autonomy of their own resource, from the extracting process to the processing process, the distribution, and the consumptions. Each country has their own policies. Each country has their own rules. Each country has their own methods and ways. Now, the problem is, since each country has their own rule and each country has their own internal as well external conflicts and particular conditions that may benefit or may negatively impact other countries, then natural resources can actually trigger some more big problems. Let's take a look at the geopolitical conditions that we have right now. In today's world, one of the main reasons or the main aspect that is affected in the geopolitical conflicts is problems regarding critical resources, such as oil, gas, and coals. For example, a case that all of us would be familiar with is the limitation of the Hormuz Strait by Iran. This Hormuz Strait has something regarding the distribution process of critical resources. As I mentioned earlier, an international agency would be responsible for three main aspects, which is the extraction, the distribution, and also the consumptions, but probably also the processing. Now, other examples of this geopolitical problem caused by or affected by the critical resources is the conflicts of Russia and Ukraine, which leads to the uncertainty of the global gas and oil stocks, since Russia is one of the biggest producers. But not only geopolitically, this agency of the international materials would also support some other aspects of our life and the life of other countries, not only geopolitically. Now, my next reasoning is the environmental effect. You see, not all institutions from all countries are qualified enough and also has the capacity to actually manage the lands, to actually manage their own respectful resources. And we have too much exploitation. We have had enough of natural damage in the past few years. And because not all countries are qualified enough and not all countries has its own capacity, not all institutions care about not exploiting nature, then the condition of extraction of these natural resources from all countries in the world is so different. Probably some countries are so advanced in preserving the nature, but some countries are also very poor at managing their natural resources, which leads to more damage in the nature and more disaster probably. And because in this international agency of materials, every single aspect would be discussed, would be negotiated with the countries of its member. And every policy that has been negotiated with the expert as the representation of every country would be better than a country managing the resource with its own capacity that may or may not be qualified enough. And this is one of the methods that we can use in preserving our natural conditions and not exploiting our nature. And my next point is the economy. You see, the limitation of the Hormuz Strait by Iran has widely affected the world's condition. You see, prices has risen everywhere of every product. This is because the price of plastic, oils, coals, and some other resources has been affected. Now, this is caused by the autonomy of one single country that is responsible of the distribution of natural resources, crucial resources. Now, with the help of the International Material Agency, this can be minimized because it is also responsible for the distribution that the problem, like the limitation of the Hormuz Strait, wouldn't exist. And if it does exist, that would be a mediator between countries that are conflicted so that it wouldn't spread as widely as we are seeing right now. Now, of course, the geopolitical aspect is also very much important because it can lead to war that is harming much more countries. But of course, we are working for a world of peace. And peace can come from many different aspects, such as geopolitical, which also affects the environmental and the economic conditions. And one of the ways that we can do to support that is by the international management, the International Materials Agency, which is supported in the speech. An international material agency would be responsible from the extracting process, the processing, the distribution, and also the consumption. So every critical resources in the world would be managed correctly. And even if it still creates some dynamics in the natures, it would be minimizing the negative effects for it for each country, the members of this International Materials Agency. And I mentioned again that we are working on a world of peace, and peace can come from many different aspects, even from the natural, critical resources that we have in this world. That is all from me. Thank you.